and welcome to episode 158 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
Jeff, it's back. It's nice to be back doing a normal podcast, kind of for the first time in multiple weeks. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
And it was kind of an unfortunate time to take a quote-unquote break because there have been a lot of gaming events and different news items that have happened. But definitely make sure you are subscribed to youtube.com/nerdsatlarge, where you can find our reaction video for the PlayStation event that just happened. I think since the last time we recorded, I think we haven't recorded a normal podcast since the Mario things that have happened. The Mario 35th anniversary collection or whatever that is out now. But you can go hear our raw reactions to that, the Xbox price information, all that stuff, all the things that have happened last few weeks.
Set Ubisoft forward.
Set Ubisoft forward, which we are going to cover. The one thing we want to cover about that today. And also make sure you go look at the betting special results. That was a lot of fun. We did some weird stuff in editing that's really fun. And go find out who won and what punishment is going to be enacted.
And be ready for the next one that I've already got planned and hoping to get these guys to record the first part of it soon.
Jeff's got something cooking in his head. I don't even know what it is, but I'm scared. I'm very scared.
Yeah, we need to do that soon. I need to send a text.
Yeah, get on that. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, we're going to do our opening segment, which is the Nerds at Large Character Hall of Fame. A few weeks ago, we did an entire episode where we made our Nerds at Large Video Game Character Hall of Fame, where me and Jeff both brought 10 characters that we love very much and that we are inducting into this Hall of Fame. And in addition to just talking about why we love these characters, we also created in our brains a hypothetical Smash Bros type game with these characters as fighters. And now we are going to be at the beginning of every month. This one was a little weird because
so we'll have one 2 weeks time.
Yeah, this one was a little off, but normally at the beginning of every month we're going to add DLC to this. So me and Jeff are both going to add a character each as DLC to this There's a Large Character Hall of Fame. So without further ado, I will start with my first character, is Shantae.
Oh boy.
From all the Shantae games.
All that Shantae.
All them Shantae games, which I guess I've only played 2 of them, so fake fan, I guess. Yeah, I've only played Half Genie Hero and now 7 Sirens. Definitely want to go play Pirate's Curse at least, because that one I hear great things about as well. Yeah, I think Shantae is it's hard not to fall in love with Shantae as a character. From her personality and everything, and from her design and just the game and the world in general, it's just so bright and happy. And especially in 2020, you just needed that. You needed that. You just feel good playing Shantae games. And I don't know. I just love her as a character. She's just bubbly and happy. It's nothing is taken too seriously with Shantae. The writing is very cheeky and funny. And I don't know. I think she is a very iconic and awesome mascot, and a mascot that I would love to see in the actual Smash Bros.
She is in Smash.
In the more official,
good, more actual playable.
Yes, in a more playable capacity. That would be nice. Yeah, and I did. This is why I wanted to go first, because I thought that there was definitely a chance that Jeff could, because Jeff also loves Shantae. So, yeah, but as far as her Smash moveset, please tell me if you have other ideas that would be better. I kind of just looked through her transformation. I tried my best. I had for a side smash, I had from the 7 Sirens, the turtle thing, when the turtle goes, she turns into a turtle and he goes on his shell and spins like a top. That was a turtle, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he just so she just spins on the top, just to the side. It would be a Wario motorcycle type thing.
Is that the side side special or smash?
Yeah, side special.
Okay,
yeah, special.
I don't know why to me it's smash. Like, this makes more sense as a special.
Yeah, no, yeah, sorry. I might have said the wrong thing.
I might have just heard you wrong. Yeah, I imagine side smash is just a giant hair whip.
Oh yeah, sure. The attacks are obviously hair whips, and then the smashes are just gonna be like.
I want just the regular A combo you spam in that. You know, like for Fox, you can do the like infinite kick type thing. It's just that with the hair just goes faster and faster. It's like when you level up her hair speed.
That would be awesome. Yes, absolutely. And then the down smash, I had the drill attack that she had in Seven Sirens. That wasn't Seven Sirens, right? Yeah, Seven Sirens. But I thought she would like drill down into the earth, and then you could either point right or left, and she'll come out like right beside to the right or left. So if someone's right beside you, you could drill down and come up on them to the right or left. So it'd be like just a ground-based attack. You know, if someone's in the air, it wouldn't. But I thought that could be kind of cool. You know, it's just like and then come back up. These are going to be mostly pretty simple. Up special, I just had the harpy. Yeah, just turn into the harpy, jump up in the air, you know, get the upward mobility like that. And then normal special, I just had fireball. It's hard. There wasn't a whole lot of things that like, I mean, I think she would be a pretty simple character. It would be a good character, but it'd be pretty simple. And then final smash, I just had all the sirens from Seven Sirens all joining up for
nice
big attack. You know, I think that could be really cool.
Where are the sirens or the other? Do you mean the two sirens or the half genies?
Or half genies. Sorry, yeah, the half genies. Yes.
Why would the sirens help?
Yeah, no, the sirens are coming now. Yeah, yeah. So pretty simple.
Okay,
pretty simple.
Okay.
Most of her transformations don't exactly translate to attacking soup because you know most of her transformations are
kind of mobility / getting around solving some puzzle type things.
Yeah, but I think she could be like a banjo type thing where it's simple but good. Yeah. So Shantae, I think, very good addition to the Hall of Fame. All right, Jeffrey, what you got?
Okay. So this, I feel like we got a pair of characters that most people necessarily will not, you know, agree with. Like, these characters are the Character Hall of Fame, what? And I had I think about 4-ish characters I was potentially going to be bringing today, just kind of based off what you did. Or also because we were originally going to do this with Jacob and Will, so completely based off what everyone did. Right. But I decided I'll go with the one I originally was planning for this month. And as far as like a moveset, I guess I don't have it completely filled out. But the gimmick, I think it's enough to think. And the reason I am bringing this character, because he's in a different kind of game, and in my opinion, the best kind of this game. And this kind of game I'm talking about is VR. So my character is Astro.
There he is.
Astro Rescue Mission.
There he is, the boy.
The little robotic boy. So when I say a special moveset, I mean if you want to play his character, you need a VR headset.
Yeah.
This is the one character you gotta, okay, I gotta put my controller down for a second, I gotta put the VR on.
Oh wait, so you're saying in our game you have to use VR to play?
You gotta,
oh, hell yeah.
You will be doing that, and you'll be seeing first person in this game fighting.
That's awesome. That would be great.
And obviously, you know, the abilities might be a little different. It may not, because you're doing first person, it won't be necessarily side special and that kind of stuff. You're just pretty much playing Astrobot and you're fighting all the characters. Do the little shurikens, you know, you can use the grappling hook to grab them in and use Astro to beat them up.
That'd be amazing.
Maybe have more of to expand on the moveset, just have the little robots you rescue to help fight and beat things up. You could
actually like shoot things from your face or like look around.
Maybe we got special inputs where the grappling hook can go out and like grab something from the game, like the spider monsters kind of or enemies.
That would be incredible. It would be so you know, the devs inside of our brain are really upset because balancing this game is going to be hell.
Yep.
That's awesome. That I think very, very good addition. I've been like I think about that game decently often.
Good. And we're getting another game from him in about 2 months. I mean, it's not going to be at the level of
hopefully it'll be a fraction of them, like, as memorable as...
I'll say, it's not going to be as good as Astrobot. I'm not going in expecting that, but I'm expecting a fun little jolly time.
Hopefully we come out of it being like, hey, they were given very little rope, but they made something pretty special for how little it is. But it's still going to be a little.
Yeah.
But dope. I think those are 2 very, very good inductions to the Hall of Fame. All right, Jeff.
Well, I like it as far as like, unless I'm really forgetting he's in here. Kratos isn't in it.
No.
I like how for PlayStation reps, we got an asterisk before Kratos.
We're a weird group here.
We are a weird group.
And we're also, I didn't want to be too predictable.
That's part of the reason I did that. Let's start weird. Okay. I probably will have maybe a slightly, like, again, I got a couple that I'm planning on shoots. Pretty much got the next couple months planned out. Just don't know the order.
Nice, yeah.
It's a mixture of at least one of us probably a lot more predictable than the other 2. But
yeah, we're doing it every month, especially. Well, I think it's fine to be predictable. I want to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm not doing Shantae just because it's different. I do actually love Shantae. Shantae would be in my character Hall of Fame. So. Cool. All right, Jeffrey. Let's get into that game talk. Let me pull up the correct docket. And what I see right here is that number 1 on this list is the Crash 4 It's About Time demo.
Yes, I got it, so I'm a sucker and pre-ordered that shit. Man, I knew I was going to get it.
I mean, it looks good. Yeah, it looks good.
I knew I was going to get it, so I'm like, might as well get a little demo out of it, talk about it on the podcast a little beforehand.
You will love that game. I think I would love that game, probably, even though I don't like Crash games. But
yeah. You're welcome to play on my thing. I won't be able to give you a copy to play on your PlayStation because I got it digitally.
Yeah.
Welcome to do it. So yeah, this game, you die a lot. Like, I immediately just kind of reminding where it kind of getting Crash is when I boot up the demo, get in that level, and see and I think in the top right, under Crash's head, you see a death counter. Like, okay.
So even from the demo, it was really hard.
Yeah. Not necessarily the hardest. Well, part of it is, for me, is as far as like 3D platformers go, I'm used to Mario. Like, I play other ones, obviously, but generally the Mario feeling is what I'm most used to.
Gotcha.
Crash feels different. I don't know how to describe it, but it's harder for me to judge where they are. Like, when I boot up that game, it's harder for me to judge where I'm going to land than it is for Mario for me. And they even have a little indicator to help you with that. But just the feeling jump took me some more to get used to. As I went through it, I got better at it. I got more used to it. Still dying a little bit, but...
I mean, I completely understand. I mean, platformers, going from different series platformers, especially like different generations, older and newer or whatever, it's like, the feeling of the jump can be completely different.
Yeah. So one of the levels played was the snow one, or the ice one. They've kind of shown some that use I don't know the name of these masters. I haven't played the story. I guess it's early in the game because they meant, like, the way Cortex was talking, it was like very clear, like it's, early games, like, you sent me back to the past, Crash, but they gave me time to plan to destroy you. There's something to that effect, like, and then the funny little thing in the mascot, oh, how many times have you fought him? Coco's like, 3. Yeah, 3. Like, oh, 3? I thought there were more. Oh. Little quips like that. So early in the game, use the time mask for this thing to stop stuff, and you got to time that because there's a timer for the time stop, of course. You're moving normal speed, but everything else is slowed down / stopped. So you're doing that to do platforms, all that kind of stuff. Nice. Very fun.
Is that like a button you're pressing to like put
something once you do it, you press the trigger to activate it. Once you have the mask.
It's like a Breath of the Wild stasis type thing.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is the way it is for it is for mask and other levels. The mask would come and go throughout the level, and it would show up when obviously you're supposed to use it. So obviously levels are and sections of those levels are specifically designed for those masks.
Okay. Cool.
Because there's definitely something later on where I'm jumping from stuff that the mask could have made it too easy. So they did not give you the mask, so it wouldn't be so easy.
Nice.
So I think part of it what made this difficult is because, again, the first level I played was an ice level with some slippery stuff. That's not the best way to get used to.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what I would have chosen for the demo or first level. That seems like, okay, now that you know how to do the platforming, we're going to make it all slippery.
Yeah. There's kind of mainly stuff like that, just from the demo play. I haven't played Cortex's level, which I want to get to try at some point. Obviously, I will in the main game, but got 2 weeks, so I'll try out the Cortex level. And maybe try to come back next week and talk about it. Other one had some dinos. Gotta run away from dinosaurs. So good Crash goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, how like what's the balance do you think so far from what you've played of like it feeling like an older 90s early 2000s platformer and a modern, like, is it like towing that line between like
I think so. Like it's a sequel to those original 90s games, so it makes sense that it would kind of feel that way and kind of designed that way to a point, but the designs of levels and everything is a lot more modern. It's and also just kind of refreshing because is something like I've talked about and kind of complained about. We don't get much in the way of 3D platformers with a budget.
No, we
have to either rely on Nintendo or indies.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's nice to have this, and it feels really good. There's absolutely love into this title. Like Stories for Bob, love this character, and if they are obviously I have to see I like the rest of the game, but based on this demo, if the future of the Crash franchise is in their hands, I think it's in good hands. I think we will see more Crash, and it will do really well.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to remember because I think the Insane Collection sold like 10 million or something.
Oh yeah. Something crazy. I'm really. Do you think this is going to sell those numbers?
I'm 50-50 on that, just because this is a new game, so you think, oh, it may sell more. But for the Insane trilogy, it was, oh, this is an old character coming back, and it's the games that people have and nostalgia was a big play.
Yeah.
So that could either be like, oh, this is the reason this would sell more than the new one, or because it's a new one, it would sell more. Plus, Crash Insane Trilogy was still games for $40, which
my gut feeling is that the first one the collection will sell more for just multiple reasons, like everything you said, and also, I mean, just I think a lot of times when you have that big revitalization of like an older character like that, that first comeback is usually the biggest, and then the second one just doesn't get quite as much hype or whatever. And like I think a lot of people who bought the Crash trilogy are probably people who don't even buy games that much, so the concept of buying this new game is probably not even something that crosses. They're like, oh, it's those old games I love, I'm gonna get that.
But with that said, even if it sells like half as much as that 10 million, I'm sure they'd be thrilled. At least Toys for Bob. I don't know about Activision. I don't know what their expectations are for this game.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I'm glad to see Crash between the trilogy and Crash Team Racing and this. It seems like Crash is getting lots of love and just lots of games. Yep. Like I'm glad that this wasn't just we're gonna bring back the old games for nostalgia, including Crash Team Racing, and that's it. I'm glad that they're like, and I'm also glad it's like they're not just doing remakes. Like I think it's cool to see a modern take on Crash.
Now give me a new Spyro, you cowards.
And take Sanzaru off of VR and give him Sly again.
Yes.
Fucking cliffhanger. It's just not fair.
They're owned by Facebook now, aren't they?
I think so. It's over. It's dead.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
But what's not dead is Disco Elysium, Darby.
It is not dead. Even though
someone's dead in that game.
Someone's dead. Yeah, there's pretty grotesque murder, and the last time what I just played, my person just kind of like dropped what I thought was dead, like out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But he good right now. Yeah. So I've been like, thinking about getting Disco Elysium. I've been interested in it ever since I heard a lot about it last year from critics, and obviously it won like the Game Award for narrative or something, or RPG, or one of those. And Jacob Hamill, frequent special guest on this show, I think that was his Game of the Year, I believe, last year, and he wrote about it on the Nerds at Large blog, which is WordPress, or nerdsatlarge.wordpress.com. Yeah, that one. So definitely go read his review there. So I've been interested in it ever since then, because just the way that everyone talks about it, like RPGs, I'm a big RPG guy. That's my favorite genre, and this just sounded like such a weird one and such an interesting one, where people said, like, even if you are super familiar with RPGs, there's just gonna be things you see in this game where you're like, wait, what's going on? And like, now that I've played it, it's like I was like, even in the first few hours, I was still kind of feeling it out. I'm like, okay, is this my jam? Is it not? You know, there's a lot of reading, you're basically reading an interactive novel in a lot of ways. I've been playing for multiple hours at this point, and there's been no combat or anything like that. I'm sure some version of combat, I think, comes later, but it's been
roll the dice. Oh no, I'm dead.
It's been more of like, it's kind of D&D like, but it's all like, you have these stats that all relate to your guy's personality, and they're worded in weird ways that like you have to kind of slowly grow to understand, like, okay, this is kind of empathy, this is kind of like how egotistical he is, and it's like, okay, this stat is like how he like relates to other people. You know, it's like interesting things that they're not just labeled like straight up. They're very, it's weird. It's all very weird. But as you're talking to people, these checks that involve your stats are like happening all the time. And like some of the checks you actually decide, like, I'm going to risk this and like make this dialogue option. It has a % chance of failure or success. And I tried save scumming, and it doesn't appear save scumming works. So I think you were like, it's locked in.
You're that cheaters?
Yeah. I wasn't going to do it very often. There was just this one time. I was like, I'm just going to try it and see if it works. And like, it didn't, at least on the one try. And it was a pretty high check. So I don't know. But it may or may not work. I'm not sure.
You gotta try like 5 times and see.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, but you don't want to do that in this game though, because I love how all the dialogue options have been going, whether they were like successes or failures, because I really feel like the game does a good job of like, there's no clear answer to a lot of the things that you're doing in here. And a lot of times, like, yeah, failing is just as exciting as succeeding, because the world is just going to like punish you in certain ways. But I don't know, it's very, very interesting, and I've been very invested in the world, even if it's a hard game for me to play super long because it's kind of mentally draining. And like, your main character is just a complete basket case. It's funny because it kind of does the video game thing where you have amnesia in a way. But like, you have amnesia because you were just a raging loser alcoholic cop who was like put on this murder, but you like went to investigate the murder and just went into a hotel and drank yourself half to death,
as you do,
for a week. And then this other cop comes and it's like, hey, I'm gonna help you do this case because you've been here for a week and you've done nothing. It's like, he's like, did you take the dead body down? There's like a dead body hung in the tree. What? You're like, yeah, wait, what body? He's like, oh god, the body's been there for a week. Oh god, we have to get it down.
The children had grown quite attached to the dead body.
There are kids throwing rocks at it. But it's weird, and the game seems to take place in I think it's a fictional country, but it's like a fictional like Ukraine, Eastern, like Russia-ish area, I believe. And it's like this area is really run down, and there's been like, there previously was a communist government in it, and then it was overthrown. And then now there's kind of just this like very stitched together, barely holding on government, and there's this union dispute, this dispute between like a bigger company and unions, and like outside influences coming in, and a lot of people like hate each other, and you're like talking to the different factions, and it's just been really interesting because every single time I talk to someone in a different faction, I'm like, I understand where you're coming from. There's very rarely is it just like you are clearly just in the wrong, except for there are horrible racist people and they make fun of those horrible racist people.
Good.
As you should make, as horrible racists should be made fun of.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to ramble on too long because I'm going to be playing this game more. I definitely I have to see this through at this point.
I'm curious, like, do you know how much time you put into it?
I don't, and I put in such small spurts that it's really hard for me to...
I'm just kind of curious, like, where exactly, I think it's like 25, 30-ish hours. I think I remember too.
Yeah, I think Jacob said it was like 50 hours for him, which it could be for me too. I
just remember vaguely remember looking at how long to beat when I was trying to plan out Game of the Year talk stuff last year. Probably
somewhere around like 5 or 6 or something.
Okay.
It's just been such small spurts. It's hard to completely tell. So I think story wise, I'm probably not super far because I've been just kind of like wandering around. I'll talk to someone. I'll talk to someone else, and they'll mention the other person, so I'll go back and talk to them again, and something else will happen. And it seems like this. I'm still in day one. It seems like day one is pretty jam packed with stuff. Like there's just a lot of people to talk to and everything.
Then you get into a coma, and then like because of a dialogue choice, and you skip half the days.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that like they started the game over because they like the game will not hesitate to like lock you out of things or to like say, oh, this run you did this. You're not going to be able to do this because you made this decision. That kind of deal. But like I feel like I'm shaping this, like I'm learning about my crazy drunk ass cop, but I'm also like shaping him in interesting ways. And like your inner conflicts, your inner thoughts will like argue with each other. So like randomly you'll be talking to someone and then like your sense of empathy will come and be like, I feel bad for him. We should do this. And then your sense of like strength or something will be like, nah, fuck him.
Fuck him.
It's really interesting. It's a weird ass game. I'm so excited to talk to Jacob about it. But Disco Elysium. It's weird.
But you know what's also weird in different ways? Paper Mario and the Origami King.
Well, what's weird about it? Just the entire world's made of paper, yet somehow water is there and it doesn't destroy everything.
Yes. The water's also made out of paper.
Yeah, don't think that makes sense. That water doesn't look like paper. That water looks crisp. Like every time I see that water, I get thirsty. Like, that water looks good. If that's paper, then I don't know.
Everything's paper.
So you beat the daggone game.
I finally beat Paper Mario and the Origami King. I finally stepped away from Persona a little bit to finish the game.
Juggling all these. I guess they're all JRPGs.
Hey, don't say that too loudly. The old school Paper Mario fans will come. So yeah, I finished it. It was great.
How was that ending?
Very climactic. A lot of crazy shit going on. A lot of cool stuff. Some sad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you think it paid off on because you were speaking very highly about some of the story twists that happened in the middle to late portion of this game. Do you think it stuck the landing narratively?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a weird thing to even say that we're talking about the narrative strength of Paper Mario.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess narrative is different than just the general writing, which is excellent throughout the whole way. A lot of cool, interesting things, and just the worlds and stuff you go to. Like, I kind of knew where we were going for the most part. For the rest of this game, it'd been a little bit. So people were posting screens, and even Nintendo posted most of it. But the worlds and just everything kept me interested. All the different stuff they did. Combat kept me interested pretty most of the way through. Like, there was a time when the normal combat definitely was like, okay, this is like, throughout the game they kind of added, like, changed the puzzle side and it keep it interesting. At some point it's kind of like, that's not doing it enough. Boss fights were great all the way through. Yeah. But the normal battles were kind of like, okay, I'm feeling more and more just kind of going through you. And like, I didn't feel one way or the other about that. It's like, hey, let me get to the fun, the other stuff, the adventuring part of it. It's like, I kind of view this more as like an action adventure game than the RPG-ness with the battles and everything for the most part.
I mean, it seems like they went off. They took a risk with that combat system, and it seems like it is fun. But like that's probably part of the risk you run with a very new combat system is like, is it going to carry you across a 30-something hour game?
Yeah, I don't know what my final time was. I guess I can look at that at some point because I'm kind of curious. But yeah, I think it's been rough. I've seen people say 30.
Yeah. But, I mean, even some of the best combat systems can get old with that long. But
I feel like part of it is they had this great idea for boss battles. And then there's like, okay, but how do we do this for normal battles? Because partly you need to teach players how to do this and not just throw them into all this stuff for the boss battles. And obviously add stuff in there to kind of break up the exploring and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like, because again, but the boss battles were great, and I enjoyed the regular combat enough, but there just wasn't enough for there to keep it completely entertaining throughout the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Olivia, best Mario character, smash win. Unfortunately, I know that's not going to happen. Well, just Paper Mario in general, because they already announced the damn Spirit event.
Yeah. So you think, is this cast going to compete with Xenoblade, Persona, Final Fantasy, and Last of Us for best cast at the end?
Man,
because that's a stacked list right there.
That is a stacked list. I don't know if it'll win, but it's a very strong. Like, I'll be talking partly because you'll be there with me, because from a good bit of those. But yeah, I'll have a short list of at least 5, I think. Because, there's just too many damn good casts in the games I am playing. And then, we got Cyberpunk coming up at the very least. So, a lot of that. No. Cast is really strong. Writing was very strong throughout. I was continuously amused with the writing and the jokes and stuff they put in there. A lot of clever stuff they did with that. And I was going into this game, I do want to say, like, I was kind of bummed a little bit, not as much as other people, about the way they were doing partners in this game and who they were, because it was just, the ones that travel around with you besides Olivia. It was just a bomb. Yeah. Though obviously I made it clear to you, I love Bobby,
and we learned that was kind of because of a Nintendo mandate, right?
Yes, yeah, and a Toad Professor and all that, and then you get Kamek and Bowser Jr. as companions. Not a spoiler. Nintendo's made that clear in marketing. But I loved having those characters in there. I wish we did get more unique designs, but I end up pleased with the characters here. Like with Kamek, it is very entertaining. The whole stick is, I'm Bowser's right-hand man. I'm not really respected. Like, for all this time, Kamek has ideas and is like always right, and he keeps on things like, man, just think what happened to you if Bowser actually listened to me.
Are you saying like we would have took you out long ago?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's really good.
It's just kind of something. It's just talking to like Bowser's minions throughout this whole thing because they're on your side, and just kind of the fun discussions with that.
That's really fun. Yeah.
Like, there's more stuff that I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to get into spoilers for people who want to play this game, because again, the writing is a big part of it. I want people to experience this stuff for themselves.
Well, I do want to. I haven't brought it up to any of them, but I want to at the end of the year do like little on this podcast feed, do little like game of the year discussions with all of our internet friends. And I know Chad was playing this game, and nice. I'm sure there's some other ones that have probably played it. So we'll get someone that can talk to you about it. And maybe I'll play it sometime between now and Cyberpunk, but now that time's getting shorter and shorter as we get on. We're halfway through September.
Still got 2 months.
Yeah. But I have to just go easy.
It's true.
Well, all right, Jeff. One more game to talk about.
Yes. That game is another game I'll get back to as I push Persona to the side. That is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So yeah, get back to this a little bit. Played some.
I watched it good though.
That's partly why I decided to bring this up, because I want to hear your impressions of things. Like, without maybe getting too much into spoilers, just kind of like, because I was surprised when you asked me like the next day after. I was like, "So Jeff, you want to play Xenoblade? Yeah, you okay with to watch?"
I don't know what I don't know. Something about that game is drawing me in.
Nice.
Which will kind of be weird now that I've watched like
the big twist. Like I mentioned it, it's so funny. You're always in there like during the biggest story beats. Like you're never in there where I'm just going around the world or whatever and doing the side quests and all that. You're always there when when there's just a long stream of story cutscenes.
And it's always from my perspective, it's been like, wow, some crazy stuff happens in this game left and right. This game is just very climactic.
Yep,
it
is very climactic.
It's basically like a Naughty Dog game for me. I just see like big set piece of something.
It's a lot more anime.
This game it just gives me very big Final Fantasy 12 vibes, and like there's something about the world design, even though like it's older and not like technically like the best looking or whatever, but like it's more about the actual like concept design of the world and the environments and everything that is just like really, really cool to me in a lot of ways. And I mean, just from you walking around the world and seeing like just it kind of amazes me the scope of that game for that being a Wii game.
No. I've been like completely surprised too. But it's just like when you're in there, I'm like, this was a Wii game. It's like obviously it looks better in this, and there was more grainy. But even just the kind of general stuff that are happening. I mean, obviously it's not as pretty or technically as high tech, but it's still impressive stuff in general, in my opinion. Yeah. What's like going on the actual screen and the actual like world design and all this.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, you definitely see why. Monolith Soft is as respected as they are, but and the other part of it is, especially this last part, like since we've been on the podcast, the part that I watched you play that's near the end of the game, a lot of things were happening, and I mentioned that it's like on paper everything that's happening is some kind of some typical JRPG cheesy bullshit that is normally very cheesy and bad. Like honestly, in a lot of like the Tales games, I think there are definitely times in there where it felt like like what's happening could be cheesy and bad, but like something about it was like, this actually, it feels a lot less just corny. You know what I mean? Like there's something about it that like it works. It's hitting. It feels less cringy. And I think you agreed. You were like,
yeah. I agree. I think especially like voice acting is very solid and just kind of like not anime-ish is kind of thing, like with Tales stuff. We love those games, but they're very anime style and everything, the visuals and all that, and anime voice acting. It's a hard thing to kind of describe, and if you don't know what it is, you're not going to know what that means. I can't describe it, but if you know, you know. And while the upgraded version basically looks more anime, it's still, at least especially since I keep them in their default outfits, a little more grounded looking overall and all that. And I think the music helps. Like as far as they get climactic.
Music's very good and very distinct to that game. I think you're right. I think legitimately the like British accents and everything definitely give this game a very unique style, and something that I legitimately think, at least from what I've looked at, if it was just like normal voices that we see in other RPGs, it would be weaker. It would be a good bit weaker, because like even the little bits I've seen, like the characters kind of like their personalities stand out more, and like the whole vibe of this world kind of, I don't know, it's interesting. I like that it's the British accents. I like those a lot for that game.
Poor Japanese, they don't get it.
Yeah.
The normal Japanese voice acting.
I'm sure it's still good, but it definitely gives it a distinct style. It's
obviously, we don't have to go too much more on this. I'll be finishing probably somewhat soon, just depending on how my schedule works out, because I have to imagine, I think you would agree, that I'm near the end.
I would be pretty shocked if everything we saw was not at least like within 2 or 3 hours at max of the end.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine, but...
Okay, I think I got like, if I saw something right, like 2 more chapters, and the chapters can range that whole string of cutscenes you watched with me the other night was 1 chapter. Right. Like that was by far the shortest chapter. And that was just all cutscenes. So who knows what the length of these two will be.
But you got my interest, Jeff.
Yeah,
we'll
baby.
see. I have no clue when I would ever play it, but I will admit that even just watching you, I'm like, I am more drawn to this than I ever would have thought, and certainly more drawn than I've ever been watching you play the other Xenoblades. It definitely has a different style to it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of interesting. Yeah, they got different styles for each Xenoblade game, so I'm very curious what they do next. And will be called Xenoblade and not Xeno. I was going to say Cross for some reason, but that's already a game.
Xenobike. You're riding the bike.
Yeah. There we go. The Monado bike.
Jeff, let's get into the news. News jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
We got a big one right off the bat.
Big.
But if you want to hear a more in-depth discussion of what we're about to talk about, which is the PS5 event, you can go to our reactions that you can find on youtube.com/nerdsatlarge and use the timestamp. The timestamp. He's a little dog. It's a little dog that you go up and pet, and he'll lead you over to our post-conference discussion where we talk in depth there. We're going to talk about all that here, but if you're not satisfied and you want to hear some more in-depth stuff, go over there. That being said, carry us away, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, I got the whole thing listed out here. And I'll play. We're not going to go beat like we normally do with the stuff. We're going to do with something later. I do want to, bring up a couple more games. Some of the games we already talked about to, so we can expand on our thoughts now that we have time to watch stuff again, settle on those thoughts and all that, and then get into some larger things that we kind of touched on there. But again, we had time to kind of dwell on it and maybe get a little more information that I want to bring up again. Yeah. So let's start with that first game that was there. Final Fantasy 16. Darby, I saw your tweet. You kind of mentioned it to me. But we haven't had time to talk about it. I think we both feel better about this game since the showing. But not that we didn't feel.
Yeah, we
felt good about it. But we're just kind of seeing more and like getting the expectations flowing. Like okay, I like what we're seeing / hearing here.
I am too. Yeah, and I said on Twitter that it's like I started like that night. I watched it several more times, and like every time I watched it, not in the reaction format. It's just me watching it. I'm like, there's some things in here. It was giving me some goosebumps. It was giving me all the feels and the things that you want to be like, because it has that cool thing that Final Fantasy has that other series can't, because this is the 16th one of these, and I've played a lot of them, and all of this stuff is very iconic to me, obviously. But seeing traditional Final Fantasy creatures and musical cues and stuff that I am so ingrained in my childhood and my mind and everything else, but then kind of seeing it turned and used in this kind of more dark fantasy thing, and you hear Final Fantasy music, and I'm sure this is going to have some epic tracks, but it's usually very kind of bombastic and everything, and this trailer was a lot more subdued in a way that was really cool. You're seeing this kind of more dark fantasy type thing, and you hear the I don't know. It just works. It works really, really well for me. What were you on repeat video?
Well, it's kind of more getting the vibe and just kind of thinking about it and listen to Damiani from Easy Allies talk about 14 influence and stuff. Obviously it's the team behind pretty much around we're bored and just the restarting of 14 and the main I'm blanking on names, but the guy who's in charge of this wrote the story for 14, or at least part of it, that people who play 14 love the story. Call it potentially the best Final Fantasy story. So those people behind this is exciting enough, and just kind of watching it, at least the part of 14 we played, I see that this is the same team, just kind of from a visual standpoint. Obviously, it looks better and all that kind of stuff. Upgraded graphics and just kind of the general vibe of it, which is exciting, and just the way it seems the summons, whatever term you want to use for them, are using this. They're sounding very similar to 14.
That's definitely the part that's been especially. And I think the voice acting was really good in this trailer, because when you see the Joshua, the kid or whatever, is transforming into this monster, and you kind of hear the pain in the person's voice where he's like, Joshua, no, come back. It's was like, okay. And especially coming out of a 7 remake where it's like Square has proven that they can do like real genuine, like get real genuine emotion out of me through dialogue. And 7 remake makes me feel better about them tackling a more dark, mature Witcher-esque. Obviously, some Witcher influences.
Well, something's like they made it like there's a shot in there. It's like, yeah, we're going for the darker, potentially rated M route because of the blood splatter. It's like, oh, has a Final Fantasy game been rated M before?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't think so.
I'm gonna check 15 because that's the only one I can think of that could potentially be it.
Noctis could have in a big angsty moment said, "Fuck Batman," you know. It could.
But also something that I kind of feel better about, and I'm guessing you are too, or at least a point, is combat. That was definitely a concern that you had, when we first viewed it.
Yeah, and I still do. I'm gonna have, I think, just inherently more concerns than you would, because the concept, like, I think Final Fantasy could turn into a DMC clone and you would still be happy if it had all the Final Fantasy trappings outside of it, and it was just like there was no allusion to it being an RPG anymore. It was just straight up an action game, no hold bars or whatever. You would be like, okay, this is different. I'm down. I would not be. That part of what I love about Final Fantasy is the RPG-ness about it, and I love. Again, I'm not saying it needs to be like a turn-based thing. Like, I'd love like 12 is going to take this. It's like mixing these things. It's like this whole new type of battle system that's like very RPG, but also is like adding MMO, like open world stuff, or like, movement stuff. And then like Final Fantasy VII Remake is really the like right down the middle, awesome convergence of both of those things. 15 is trying to do what 7 did, but I think does it pretty poorly. I don't know what this is going to be. It looks like, on the eye test, obviously, it looks beautiful. I mean, those animations and everything are stunning. Yeah. Just like DMC is stunning. I just hope that we get in here and, like, even though it's going to be an action game, I hope there's more to it than that. You know what I mean? That's my biggest fear, is that it's just click buttons, do combos, action. Like, I want there to be some sort of leveling system or something, I
think that would definitely be there. I don't think the feel like it goes full DMC. The reason we're using DMC is because Square Enix poached like a Devil May Cry combat designer from Capcom, and I think it's confirmed or heavily rumored that he is involved in this game.
Yeah.
So that's getting some people very excited. That makes me kind of excited as far as like if they're going the more action route, that it will be less 15 and more actually, good and solid and all that. But I don't like, as far as like the leveling and stuff, I think it's gonna be more than just like the straight action of Devil May Cry for sure. They're not gonna remove levels. They're gonna have spells. They're gonna have all that kind of fun stuff. It's just, they made it look nice and fancy for the trailer. We need to see exactly how it works. I can't remember who it was. It might have been someone in the Uneasy Allies. I think it might have been watching it. I think it might have been Ben from Easy Allies was looking at the footage and like seeing the characters that was fighting as attacks, and it's like very reminiscent of the summons we saw. So it's like, okay, we have different fighting styles and spells or whatever, weapons, whatever, based on the summons that we meet throughout the game.
Right, and something like that might be enough. I mean, I think inherently talking about Final Fantasy and speculating about talking about what you want out of the next one is just it's a hard discussion to have, because like I feel like in a lot of other series, like you pretty much know like this is going to build off of this one, like God of War 2. Like
we know what we want out of that game.
We know what we want out of that game or whatever. But Final Fantasy is such a experimental series that like I don't know what I want, because every Final Fantasy, especially in the later ones, and I like a lot of those, controversial, but like they started breaking up the formula a lot. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but I appreciate that it's not just like, oh, it's turn-based again, but there's, back in the 7 days, adding materia was a crazy new thing. But then you fast forward to like 12 and stuff like that, it's like, oh, that's cute. It's like we're going crazy with this stuff. And obviously 7 Remake. So it's hard to talk about. I don't know what I want. I just want it to feel like there's like, I just hope that I get in here and feel like this is a unique combat system, because that's one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy is that every time you get in there, it's like, oh, okay, what are they doing here? Like, I don't know what this system is. That's just, I just hope that is kept, but I don't think anything we've seen makes it seem like that's 100% not going to happen. We just saw some flashy animations.
What we've seen so far is not for or against what you've... what you're saying.
Right.
We'll just have to see more. I think it was like, as far as like when we'll see it, I screenshotted something from Jason Schreier. Okay. This is what he said. Thoughts on Final Fantasy XVI. 1, glad it's not aiming for unreasonable graphical fidelity. Which, okay, yeah. It's nothing too good to me. 2, I've been told by a couple people in the know that this game has been in dev for a while. It might be out sooner than we think. Then he puts in parentheses, my guess, early 2022. I'd be okay with that.
Yep.
And 3, holy shit, it's Final Fantasy 16.
Also agree. I do want to briefly point out, like, Moses did talk to me, did respond in that thread when I talked about it. And I do kind of agree with him that he's interested in it, but he also had the instant feeling about like seeing some of these characters and not really feeling like they stand out very much and are not very iconic. And I do kind of agree with him and I think I said in that thread, like, Final Fantasy does seem to kind of swerve between like Cloud, Titus, whatever, and like characters like that are just like very instantly recognizable, very iconic. Like, you just look at them, they have a style and you know immediately. And then in the same series, they also have multiple protagonists that just kind of feel like anime protagonist number 3, and I think that could kind of change within. And honestly, 14 is a good, like, I think of 14, even the characters there are pretty important. I think the visual design of them is not very iconic. You show me the main characters of 14 and it's like, these look like they could be anyone in this world. They don't necessarily have the same, like, what I mean.
Yeah, that's kind of feel like going for that. Like, it, like, you look, and at least in 14, well, you see how they do here. Like in 7, it's like you look at that part, it's like, oh, these are the main characters.
It's not. It's not really good, but it's also like, I could understand watching this trailer and be like, yep, those are some anime boys. It's like, but the game might not be as character driven as 7. 7 is a character-driven story. This might be a story-driven thing.
We've only seen one playable character. That doesn't mean anything because we've seen that in other Final Fantasy games that have multiple playable characters, or at least party members. But we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. I knew that discussion would be a lot, but
okay. Yes. As far as Miles Morales on itself, I don't think we have anything else particularly to say. Do you?
No, I think it was a good, flashy trailer. Other people were kind of losing their minds about it. I think it looks awesome. It just looks like what I would expect a dope-ass Spider-Man trailer to look like. And I think that the use of music, that trap beat, is like just awesome. It's really cool. And already thinking about how the original Spider-Man used dynamic music so well, where like if you just went off a building and started swinging, suddenly the orchestra would come up like seamlessly. It would just be playing like quiet, 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 and then swell up, and then you get down, it would go back quiet. I'm like, how did y'all do this? How did y'all do this? Where it just works no matter what I do to try to break it. And I'm excited to see what they do with that, with a different musical style with that.
The other things we discussed about this game, but we can get to that in later parts of this. We'll just continue going through it. Hogwarts Legacy.
Gotta talk about that one.
Potentially where this is going. I didn't mean to spring this on you. I meant to see if you were comfortable talking about this stuff before, but I have some thoughts.
No, go for it.
I'm having problems like thinking about what to think of this game as far as whether I should support it. I know there's the whole thing of like with J.K. Rowling and all her anti-trans stuff. I know there's the whole thing of, if you do with that logic, you shouldn't, support a lot of things you do. And, to a point, I mean, honestly, that whole mindset I really don't like for the most part, because it's just kind of an easy out to just buy everything without concern for anything. The reason why this is particularly egging at me to think I don't think I'll support this game. I'm at that mindset right now. Is J.K. Rowling in particular is hostile. She is doing everything in her power to bring down trans people and pretty much starting a hate movement. And I know this whole thing about the devs and her, but this is money going to her. I know it's just a little bit and everything, but I don't know. There's just some things like you got to draw a line somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's even a difference between people who've just like there's like shitty creators and stuff that've made like bad statements, and it's like, okay, well, you're a shitty person in your personal life, but then that's kind of they have that shitty view, and then they just live with that shitty view, and that's it or whatever. But like, yeah, if you go to J.K. Rowling's Twitter feed right fucking now, half the tweets are things like this is like her active thing. This is the thing she does right now.
Maybe like maybe even if she just kind of said something transphobic and stopped there, like I would from my side, because I know you can point to this being I'm planning on buying Cyberpunk, and they've had problems there. That we won't go that far to talk about it. But
yeah, I'll have another point. But go ahead.
Yeah, but she is actively trying to. She's got a new book where the transvestite village.
I heard about it.
It's just everything about it's like it's an extra step more than a lot of these people when we talk about.
This is the type of thing I think with a situation like this. I mean, it can be different to everyone, but like. I think the tact you have to go with this is you have to and maybe you'll disagree with me, but I think you have to respect everyone's decision either way. Like,
I agree.
Right, like I think that going out there and like someone saying, I'm super stoked for this Harry Potter game, and you come in there and be like, no, fuck you, you shouldn't be because she's doing this or whatever. I think that's wrong. Because the way these things work is that person could turn around and say, okay, well, you're supporting X, Y, and Z that's like bad in X, Y, and Z way. And it's like, yeah, that's probably true, because at the end of the day, the world is shitty and we all have to pick our battles and everything. But also, you have to respect someone. Like I don't even know where I'll feel on this, to be honest. I'm in the ether too, but like you have to respect someone who will not buy this game, but also respect someone who will. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I was saying, and I agree with you. Just I don't know.
Like you're not a transphobe if you buy Harry Potter.
Anything
like buy Harry Potter stuff or whatever, or enjoy Harry Potter. It's like just like. It's just the world is too shitty and corrupt to be like attacking each other for like things like, you know what I mean? You just can't.
And I think something that kind of gets on my nerves with this whole thing is when people, not doing the whole, you're a transphobe if you support this game thing. I haven't really seen people do that. Really, there's some out there, but for the most part, when people are saying it, they're not doing that. Is people like, oh, so you're gonna hurt the devs, huh? It's like, I don't owe them my money.
Yeah, that's wrong too. Yeah,
I don't owe
yeah.
I mean, who knows? I was going to buy this game even without this. I mean, I'm interested in it, but who knows?
No, it's not. No one is owed anything in this entire situation, obviously, and that's it's more complex than people like to make it seem. People like to drill it down to make it seem like.
I would like. If J.K. Rowling wasn't making money from this and anything, I know it's not like technically much from my thing, I'd feel different about it, I think. Yeah. But the fact is that she has all the rights and has so much power over the Harry Potter franchise and would make some money off of me buying a copy. It's just kind of one thing when she's doing all this stuff. And I will say WB doing a whole thing like J.K. Rowling doesn't really have anything to do with this. Like, that's not what people's problem is.
Yeah. But it's also a thorny issue because, like, I agree with everything you just said, but I also agree with people I agree with the argument that some people have made that it's like, if you're trans and you love Harry Potter, don't let JK take that away from you. Yeah. It's like that, like... You know what I mean? At some point,
I completely agree with that. Like, that's why I'm just kind of I'm wrestling with it because it's like people can come at this from multiple different ways. Like, I get it, It's when the people are talking about their problems, potentially supporting J.K. Rowling, like, this game looks great. I'll buy it no matter what. It's like, you're adding nothing to this conversation. You're just being a dick.
No, like, you should be supportive of, be supportive of each other in this situation, unless someone shares her views on trans, but if everyone is, is an ally of this, in this situation or whatever, I don't know. You gotta respect people. The world's too shitty for people who agree with each other to fight on something like this. You know what I mean? It's just, I hate to see that too.
But anyway, the game looks pretty good.
The game looks really good.
Yeah, sorry, that's something I felt like I needed to talk
about.
No,
we did, yeah. We absolutely did. I think from what we've seen, I mean, we didn't see much gameplay more than we had seen the leaked trailer of this already. We just saw like a lot more of that, a lot more of the world and everything, and it visually looks really, really cool, and is definitely giving me the you're gonna have a whole lot of freedom in this game vibe.
No, I thought it was a good reveal trailer. Just from the sake of this is obviously pretty much all in engine.
Yeah,
some of the snippet here is like jumping through walls. Like, this is like kind of gameplay-ish stuff, even if it's a little more played up or whatever for the sake of the trailer. So it looks good. Coming out next year. Whoop whoop.
Yeah. Just game itself, I feel very, very down for a Harry Potter.
And it's one of the games I wish, one of those games I kind of dreamed of, as a kid, potentially being a thing. So it sucks now. Again, I feel for the devs because when they started this game, none of this stuff was out, and now suddenly, as they're approaching, they know they're going to announce this game. This stuff comes out, and it's like I feel horrible for them.
Yeah, and I don't know. Again, you got you have to always fight for these things, but then there's no rule book to this. There's no guidelines for any of us. There's people who a giant corporation like Apple or something will give millions of dollars to very good causes. They'll also silence people in Hong Kong and use cheap labor and stuff, and take people's identity, privacy, invade people's privacy, do tons of horrific shit. It's and is someone working at Amazon or Apple or one of these, are they responsible? No, they're not, but it is. But you also can't just be like, well, shit's fucked. I don't know, it's hard.
Let's see. Going down,
RE8.
RE8, baby.
Briefly, what do you think about the trailer?
I thought it was a nice enough trailer. Which kind of showed more new stuff. It was just kind of retreading some stuff. We technically got pretty much new footage, but it's kind of retreading stuff.
Yeah,
I guess it might be partly because of the leak, so we know kind of what we're going into. But with that said, TGS is this upcoming week, and we know we're getting more there.
Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about it more there because still haven't seen much of the actual game.
So excited about that. Skipping down some. I guess, do you have anything to say like Demon Souls or anything?
Nah, I say we just skip to God of War.
I did want to bring up the PlayStation Plus collection.
Okay. Yeah.
As now that we talked about it. We got very interested when it was announced. Okay, what are they doing here? Even during our discussion, we're kind of going down. And now that we're out, that we're a couple of days away from this, that wasn't too much of anything.
It's a way smaller deal than us and a lot of other people. I think everyone just has. I mean, that shows how much games passes on the brain of everyone. That everyone's like, "Oh shit, is this the thing?" It's it's definitively not that. This is going to be a one-time for the console launch, so that you can have all these big games.
I just think we bring a good point. It's probably more for people that are jumping from Xbox to PlayStation. Hey, here are pretty much all the exclusive or most of the big hits that you missed.
Yeah, which is,
which is not nothing.
It is certainly a good thing. And those are very, very, very big, good games that people are going to be able to get. And if anyone missed it, obviously for me and you, it does very little. But it is cool to have those things. I'm not expecting this to become any sort of a recurring thing.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a one-time big dump, and then I think PlayStation Plus will work as it normally has going forward.
Shame.
Which, yeah, is a bummer. I don't think we have our Game Pass competitor.
Nope. God of War, though, that's a competitor for Game Pass right there. No. But yeah,
that game alone.
Yep. But very exciting.
Yes, the only big thing to latch on to here is 2021, which is a pretty big thing.
Yeah, we were both kind of like, come on, don't let this be a result tournament. It's like, oh, okay.
Don't do Elder Scrolls.
So it does kind of suck in a way, like as far as just kind of reacting to things goes. Like, remember the reveal of God of War, how insane that thing was with Kratos rocking up and all that kind of stuff. Like, it kind of sucks we won't be kind of getting that with this, like, as far as the reveal. Like,
but God of War 2 was never going to be a surprise no matter what.
No, but we could have seen gameplay footage and like got excited because the last God of War, it was 2 years between announcement and release. Yeah. But we could have gotten that announcement, like, let's say early next year, and they say 2021, like, soft footage is this year now.
That's true. But we still haven't seen, the game still really hasn't been revealed to us whatsoever. We know it's coming next year. No, they're making God of War 2. What?
It's about Ragnarok. What?
But we still, they still have the opportunity to show us Odin, and we'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I do feel better thinking on it potentially coming out next year, just because of everything. It could very well get delayed, and I will not be surprised one bit. But the fact that, compared to a lot of games, as far as sequels go, they knew what they were doing. Like, they had probably most of, the main story beats written out before they really got in the chunk of God of War 1. Like, that's clear. So it makes it, to me, a lot more believable that this could potentially come out in a little over 3 years.
Yeah, there's literally even parts on that world map that you could scroll to, but you couldn't go to. It's like, they know. And a lot of these assets are going to be redone, reused, and they made this game completely from scratch, completely new universe, completely new, all that stuff or whatever. So I could believe it. I say count on 2022 for this game. I would go ahead and reorient your brain to it being 2022.
So what do you think the odds are this is going to be a PS4 game as well?
I think pretty high. I kind of wish it wasn't, just because I don't want I want it to be able to take that big leap or whatever. And people have kind of made fun of that viewpoint, but I think it's pretty valid. I have seen the PS4 struggle like hell to run modern games, and that's just going to get worse when they're making it for a platform that is better, but also oh shit, we gotta pull this back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. I'll wrap this part in here to kind of delve on. They announced that, the reason I brought that up, Horizon, what's the subtitle? Forbidden West, Miles Morales, and Sackboy. Take Sackboy out of it. That's not a surprise. I was actually surprised when they originally announced it wasn't coming to PS4. They didn't mention it. But Miles Morales and Horizon. They announced after the event that those are also coming to PS4, which bummed out some people because they expect Horizon in particular to be the next gen showpiece, one of the first ones besides Ratchet and Clank.
And it's either way, it's bad because I will never forget playing Dragon Age Inquisition on the PS3, and it was after the PS4 had come out, and it was a hot mess. I paid $60 for that game, and it was actual shovelware garbage. And I fell through the world constantly. It was terrible, and it looked like a different game. It looked horrible. And I have that kind of stuff, especially the further you get into the PS5 generation, because these devs are going to be making this game thinking about PS5 first and foremost.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to bring it, because Jim Ryan, I think, specifically said that these games will be made for PS5 and pretty much be ported down. Which I'm man, I feel sorry for the people that are playing on the PS4. Selfishly, I'm happy that the console I'll be playing it on is first in the mind, but still, I
feel like it's bad for both parties. So the PS5 games don't get to go quite as far as they would have Because, if there's certain things if there's certain like entire levels that would just brick the PS4, then they can't put it in the PS5 either.
Yeah.
It's like there has to be, so it limits the PS5, but also if my PS4 can barely run Control, what the fuck is it going to do for God of War 2, Like,
also, it's just kind of the whole thing of Jim Ryan kind of saying things, but then like a couple months later being like, what I said, technically not true, or the way pretty much I meant for you to interpret at the time. They kind of like there was absolutely no reason for them not to announce Miles Morales and Horizon were PS4 games. That was only for have the podcast and fanboys going off on that, planting those seeds in the mind that Sony won for months. And I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. Well, and there's even other we had the same problem with both of these Sony presentations. That they hid good news. Technically, if you just watched that showcase and just left and haven't looked at any more news, you don't know when Demon Souls is coming out.
You don't know the launch lineup actually really good.
And it's so weird because they don't even. There's no rhyme or reason for Miles Morales. They say holiday 2020. For Demon Souls, they never say anything, and they're both coming out the same day. They're both coming out at launch. Why on God's green earth would you not just say that like it's good news for you? I don't get it.
Here's the thing, though. It's very confusing to me with both of those. It's like even with Miles Morales, you say holiday, just say PS5 at launch.
Yeah. You don't even have to reveal the day.
Yeah, if you don't have to say the day. Then it's like, okay, once you reveal the date, it'll hit in everyone's head. We're not stupid. Be like, oh, Miles Morales is also coming out that day. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, didn't Xbox games do that? Didn't Yakuza say it's a launch title?
Yeah, and then and then once they officially announced the date, Yakuza account was like, oh yeah, so we're coming out that day.
Yeah, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard.
I mean, they pretty much did that with Godfall, just saying like, oh, it's coming out at launch. The moment the date's announced, Godfall Twitter account. Oh yeah, we're coming out that day.
And also just the fact that both of these companies, I feel like we have all been played this whole year when it comes to these companies marketing the new consoles. Because this console thing is no different than it normally is as far as games being on both the old and the new and for a while and then going away. Xbox was saying the whole time, generations are dead, you can play everything anywhere, and they bang that drum for months and months and months and months, and they're like, oh, actually all of our devs, they're allowed to make a next gen title only next gen.
All these games we just now announced, they're just gonna be on the next system.
Yeah, half of these are gonna be on the next system, and obviously third parties are gonna do whatever the hell they want. So actually, it's literally no different. You're gonna have cross gen titles for a few years, and then all the new games are gonna be next gen.
Sony, the opposite was kind of like strange. It's like, oh, we're going straight into next gen. Everything's gonna be on just for PS5. It's gonna be crazy. Couple months later, oh, well, actually, same old. We're gonna have stuff that's cross-gen for a little bit. Love ya.
This should be a lesson for everyone. Do not trust. Always be skeptical about every company's marketing. Always. Because all this was so that people like me and you and people who do what we do at way, way, way bigger levels would talk about this and be like, oh, Xbox is doing it. Oh, Sony, It's all bullshit. It's all the same as it always was.
And to get some more positive thing, like I said, the launch line was actually pretty, first party went pretty solid for Sony. Astro's Playroom, which again, it's a built-in just controller demo thing or whatever, but I'm gonna have fun with that.
Yeah.
Demon Souls, that's very exciting for those people.
Oh yeah. Very big deal.
Destruction All-Stars, it's $70, so I think that game is going to do bad. I see people trying to say, "Oh, it's a launch title, so it's going to do well." There's a lot more launch games than normal, and this game's going to be more expensive than games have been ever. I still don't think this game's going to do well unless it's actually just a really good game and just somehow catches on.
I do think it'll do better than. I don't think it'll be a complete flop just because it's in this group of just a handful of other games, but by no means do I think it's going to be it's not going to be like a knack that sells multiple millions inexplicably, It's gonna be like more of a kill zone where we get down the line like, oh yeah, remember
PlayStation 4 announced or launched with Killzone. Yeah, weird.
I mean, to be fair, we kind of do that with Knack, even though it's sold.
No. Knack is a legend. Okay,
Knack is a legend.
You can't put anything to Knack. Miles Morales,
we need to
Crazy
move
Sack
on.
Boy.
Yeah.
$70 sucks. So let's get there to that there pre-order fiasco.
Like, just why does Jeff Keighley? Why do we have to turn to Jeff Keighley to know what's going on with when games are coming out, what they're priced, and when we can get a hold of your console? Like,
even Jeff Keighley didn't know. Well,
he was just like getting stuff in. It's like, hey, this is what I know so far. Don't know the.
Well, yeah. Like there's like he originally said, like, hey, it sounds like the pre-orders are starting tomorrow. Didn't hear any word from Sony. Oh wait, it sounds like it actually might be starting in select retailers today. A little bit later. Oh, actually, it sounds like it's just going to be tomorrow. And then, like 10 minutes later, Walmart started pre-orders. Everyone freaked the fuck out. And then the floodgates opened. Everyone at different times is starting it. I'm lucky to be home so I could follow this, so I could get it. I got one at Target, luckily, before it sold out. I'm trying for Best Buy because that's my mom's helping me pay for it for Christmas, birthday, whatever. And that's where the shopping's where she prefers. Like, okay, I try for hours. I had the PS5 in the Best Buy cart for hours, and keep on pressing. It's like, we're having errors. Then suddenly, at some point, at probably like 11 to 12, it kicks me out. It's like, those are all gone. Like, well, okay then. Well, time to go to bed. Best Buy opens up the real pre-orders at 3 a.m.
God.
So I had no chance to get those. So that all that should happen. This happens for a variety of stores throughout the whole thing. Everyone's pissed. I guess to Sony's credit, they put out this statement on Twitter later today. Let's be honest. PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PS5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available for the end of the year.
It just sucks, because, like, y'all had the entire year to settle this shit out. You had more time than normal, and they, like, specifically said...
that's another thing.
That it's like, we'll give you plenty of heads up for...
even the day heads up, technically... I mean, well, they technically didn't give us a heads up, so... Well, they did at some point that day. Technically say, they're coming tomorrow. But even the day heads up, it's like, you could have given us a little more than that.
Wait, like, that wasn't even completely true, because Walmart was live right then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even if the original plan was smoothie as...
I mean, ultimately, I don't think this is going to matter that much. Like, 3 years from now, I don't think we're going to be talking about the pre-order fuck up, but it was just...
No, just whenever I try to pre-order anything, I'll just have flashbacks. Just like, it's something I haven't literally thought about in probably like 3 years, but when I was doing this, I had flashbacks to the night I pre-ordered the Switch. Like, oh yeah, this hell.
It's not fun. I've never done it, and I'm not doing it for this because I'm going to be playing Cyberpunk on my PC for like 2 months anyway, so I'll enjoy my PS5 when it's easy to get in January, hopefully. Hopefully easy to get.
So yeah, I got that pre-order, and I'm keeping that Target pre-order right now. So we will have that coverage. We'll be able to cover some PS5 stuff, and I'll be playing Miles Morales when I get that shit.
Hell yeah!
At the very least. Okay, moving on, Darby. Moving on to Nintendo, which had a surprisingly good little thing.
Third time's the charm.
Yep, we had a partner direct, Darby. And this was easily the biggest one, and Nintendo pretty much made that clear. They announced the day before, kind of like a regular direct, like, hey, we're having a Nintendo Mini partner direct tomorrow. It's going to be live stream. Okay. So that's immediately clear. It's like, there's at least going to be one big thing here.
Yeah. I do, like, just really quick, I do think this is part of the problem with Nintendo kind of watering down the direct branding, is that, like, it used to be, we kind of know direct, we know it's going to have some big stuff for everyone. It's going to be like, no matter who you are, you can watch this and feel like you got something worthwhile. Direct minis are kind of like a smaller thing. It might not all be for you or whatever. And you know what those two different things were. It's like, these are two different products. We know what they are. Now, It's like apparently a Nintendo Partner Direct can be one of the best shows of the summer. It also could be just WWE 2K, whatever the hell. It's like the branding is fucked. Nintendo has like crushed this branding to the ground. No one knows what's happening, and just by looking at the name, like what kind of direct it is. Because like this one compared to like the last one is just like night and day. Anyway,
I think the moral of the story is if they announced it ahead of time and it's live streamed, get hype. If you're just hearing rumors of direct and it can be shadow dropped, just wait for it to be shadow dropped.
They just had such a good thing.
Yeah.
They had such a good thing, and it seems like they're breaking it for no reason. That being said, this was sweet.
Yeah, because this thing opened with something that was heavily rumored and why people were excited. Monster Hunter Rise, a brand new Monster Hunter game exclusive to Switch that is coming March 26th, 2021.
I think this game looks way better than I would have expected it to look.
I kind of want it.
Yeah, I mean,
I do want it.
It just, like, when it opened up, I was like, this just looks like Monster Hunter World.
So,
obviously, as it went on, like, it doesn't look quite as good, but it looks like way closer to Monster Hunter World than I would have thought. You know? Yeah.
When hearing the rumblings of a Switch exclusive Monster Hunter game. Yeah. So am I the only one who, when that dog started running, repeat? I was like, wait, what's going on?
I didn't, but I mean, what was a remake? Tales of Vesperia.
I was like, what's with these graphics?
Gritty remake.
Like, and I just keep on seeing that. It's like, man, this thing is just straight up repeat. Bandai Namco, get on the phone with your lawyers and call Capcom. You need to do something about
lawsuit
this
right now.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of additions to this Monster Hunter game, what makes it stand out. You get a dog that you can ride and around that and climb walls with.
It's Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Well, you can climb walls normally or ride the dog and run up mountains and hillsides and that kind of stuff. You can have a dog and Palico at the same time. And strangely enough, I don't know why you can do this in this game, but not in World. When you do 4 players, you can pick one of them to be with you. Remember in World, when we group up, our Palicos go bye-bye. You lose one of them in Rise,
so even if
but
you're going
you keep
in someone
one.
else's.
So you can you have 8 companions.
Hell yeah! I just run around with this armada of little Palicos and dogs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And I really like what they said. Like you have dogs and Palicos, and you can either have one of each or 2 of one of them.
That's awesome.
And
I wonder if they do different things. There's some strategy.
Well, they pretty much said the dogs were more offensive, while the Palicos are more support. Also, another reason why these dogs, at least the main one they showed, is straight up repeat. It had a fucking dagger in its mouth at some point. I saw.
Wow. I mean, now that you say that, when I think back on it, it does look very, very much like repeat.
Yeah. And they added a bunch of other crazy, like I said, the climbing, and you get this little line bug thing that you can just use to lasso your stuff around and do all this crazy stuff.
Mobility was a very big thing.
Yeah, mobility was a big thing. That's it. He said, that's why we call it Rise.
I'm interested because I'm not super familiar with the old Monster Hunter games or the previous one that was put on the Switch or any of those or whatever. I'm only know World, so I'm interested to see how different this is. It the same structure where it's like, okay, we're going on a hunt and there's an open world and we find the monster in the hunt.
Generally, yes, exactly how open the world, exactly how the map work is a big difference between them. Felt like, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played a non-world Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter World's like more of a world. It's more open when you go to an area and all that kind of stuff. Where I think the old Monster Hunters, if I remember correctly, might be more like just kind of more level based or whatever. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
This one looks a lot more open. It looks closer to where it looks like slightly, even saying Monster Hunter World Light seems like doing it too much of a disservice, because I think it looks close enough to World to where I'm like, I think people could get really into this. Like, people who played World will probably get absolutely about it.
Jump on it, because for a lot of people, it'll be their second Monster Hunter game. It's like, oh, I loved World. Oh, here's the next new Monster Hunter game. It's on Switch? Okay, cool, fine, whatever.
Only thing I would worry about is I think the online for PS4 was garbage. So, Switch...
Yeah, the difference of stuff they can make better.
Yeah.
Also, something interesting: the Hunter had voice acting. You're not just a mute.
That's cool. It's always good. I'm always a fan of that.
Yep. Has a nice Japanese setting. Look dope. It's excited for the game. It's kind of interesting because the Switch is supposed to be the the handheld whatever version, which is pretty much what the Switch version is replacing, is the lesser version. But this one's also $60 like World.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's say it justifies the price.
Yeah, it does. It looks. Yeah, it doesn't. I expected when I was like, okay, we're gonna be a Switch Monster Hunter thing. I haven't even seen the old ones. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like a, way less res thing, and it's gonna be kind of like a mini version of that. But right when it started, I was like, is this a port? I was like, oh wait, no, it's a new game. I was like, okay, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I enjoyed World a lot, but it definitely got to the point where it's like, okay, we're doing the same monsters over and over again. Not really into this. I am definitely, like, I had enough fun in World to potentially buy this, but
what potentially makes me feel more hopeful, like that not happening, like maybe the burnout with the monsters, is I think a problem was, yes, we're fighting the same monsters, but the monsters were also, I think Imran Khan posted this, and I was like, yep, that's it. The ones in World have similar like skeletal structure, so they're the same. Like they're different monsters, but they're the same kind of monsters. Okay, why instantly during this thing it looks like we get more variety.
Okay, yeah,
we get a couple like distinct looking monsters from one another, like instantly, which I think would definitely help.
Yeah,
and I think for like people like us, just all the new movement options and all the stuff that entails will also please us and get us more into it.
It's just interesting because like I expected, if we had two different lanes of Monster Hunter going, with the Switch and World or whatever, I expected them to be more different. But it's like this kind of just looks like you're getting a mini sequel to World, which is dope.
Yeah. Here's what else for in here, and then we'll talk about the next thing that's Monster Hunter related. We got a Monster Hunter Direct out of this, which went into a lot of details we discussed. It was really cool.
Yeah. That was a big surprise. And again, partner Direct, it's like you wouldn't have expected to have all this stuff.
They also announced immediately after that Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. It will be also exclusively on Switch in summer 2021.
Do a maybe surprising confession?
You have no idea this existed?
Oh, yes, I had no idea this existed. I mean, that's already known. I know nothing about Monster Hunter. I'm honestly like more appeal. This honestly looks even more appealing to Rise to me. It just looks very cool. Like I know fucking nothing about stories. I just saw someone comment on the internet that it was like more like a turn-based RPG, which immediately I'm like, hey, cool, I'm in. And like the art style was just like fantastic.
Yeah,
and there was more like. I was more interested in the story of that like that one little like 2-minute trailer than fucking anything that I saw in Monster Hunter World. The story.
Well, I would hope the game that actually has stories in the title would have a.
But the Monster Hunter World story is obnoxious. It just gets in the way and it's stupid. When I watched this, it's like I kind of want to play this. I don't know what it is, but I want to play this.
No, people I think really enjoyed the original story. I think the main problem was combat got a little older like towards the end. I think it's the main complaint, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully they take that and improve on it. And obviously this is going to be probably have more budget behind it. It's going to be on the Switch, which is a pretty decent bump up from the 3DS. So
yeah, I was very into it. I was super duper into it. I don't know if you had any similar.
I felt like really good. Yeah,
I was like, I want to play this game.
So yeah, we got 2 new Monster Hunter games exclusive to Switch. Like, I mean, obviously these were being made probably before we knew, or shortly after the World kind of blew up and became this crazy thing. So Nintendo, after seeing those numbers, like, good. We get 2 of your games.
Freaking Capcom, man.
Yeah,
just like dropping games left and right.
I think they were
back.
I think there was talk about as far as like their this upcoming fiscal year for Capcom. Like, they were expecting some really big stuff to kind of make up because they were being kind of light. Besides Resident Evil 3, it's like so you potentially have a Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 8, and a Monster Hunter game.
2.
Well, one for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
So. That makes sense because this is going to sell gangbusters. Like, I guess maybe besides Minecraft, I don't know. I expecting Rise to probably be the best-selling third-party game. Maybe
For next year?
Or third-party game on Switch is kind of maybe in...
Wait, in general?
Maybe.
Huh.
I guess it depends. Like you could easily name something like, again, it's like maybe besides Minecraft, because I don't know what those numbers are.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't immediately come to mind. It sounds like that would be a wrong statement, but I can't think of something immediately. I don't know.
I guess the problem is like I'm getting this partly based off NPD numbers, and a lot of the third party games that might be huge or might be digital only, and we don't get those numbers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Point is, I expect this to be a big hit.
Yeah. I agree.
It will sell millions.
It'll help the Switch for sure.
Oh yeah,
Switch has been kind of light. That's a pretty big.
Oh no, Nintendo's been pushing the game hard because this is in their minds like, oh, this is kind of like our game because it's exclusive here.
Yeah,
they'll push this like, Sony pushed like Final Fantasy.
Yes, absolutely, as they should.
Yeah. Fitness Boxing 2. Moving on. Disgaea 6. Defiance of Destiny. It is coming to Nintendo Switch exclusively in summer 2021. But a weird thing is, it's only coming exclusively to the Switch in the West. It's coming to PS4 in Japan.
That's odd. Weird.
So, yeah, exclusive Disgaea. That's good for Nintendo, I guess. I have no reference for Disgaea. I've seen Prenny everywhere, and like that's a cool little penguin dude.
I always think it's one of those games that the splash art always looks really, really good, and then they show the in game, and I'm like, oof.
Pretty low budget game.
That was a pretty big downgrade, but the splash art's always like really good.
Yeah, I know people were very excited for this because this new announcement. People love the Disgaea series, and people weren't as surprised or necessarily upset. It seems like this is from what I saw, it being a Switch exclusive now. Apparently, it just sold gangbusters on Switch. Nice. The games they released on there. So
big conference for anime.
Yep. Balan Wonderworld coming out the same day as Monster Hunter Rise on March 26th. Gotta be honest, I was interested in the first trailer. This made my interest levels go down. It looked rough.
Too. I
the ideas of it. I
appreciate what this game is trying to do, and it's the 3D platform, like we said.
Yeah,
love those, but like the budget's not there. Something's off. Yeah. It looks rough.
Which it's like not necessarily as like art style stuff necessarily, but just the actual just like platforming stuff we saw. It's like it just looked really rough.
And environments and everything. Like the presentation is cool, but and like apparently the people on it, the Knights people and everything else, it's like I don't know. Don't see it doing well, and it looks rough. I agree with you.
Yeah. Rune Factory 5 released on Switch in 2021. It is Harvest Moon if you could kill monsters.
Yeah, it's been a lot of Nintendo things.
Yeah. Long Dark, Shadow Drop. Pretty neat. Hades Shadow Drop. Woo! Shadow Drop not just on Switch, but everything.
I've seen so much damn love for that game. I need to play it because
I think that's a game we both really like.
Yeah. I'm sure I would love it. But I've seen people be like, no, really, this is like Game of the Year contender. It's like, this is like, I am loving this game.
I might, I'm curious how long it is. It's probably a decently long game.
So is it out? Or is it still
1.0 is out.
Yeah, 1.0
on everything,
out,
not just Switch. Okay. I want to see what people say on the Switch port.
Yeah. I feel like it.
Yeah. I saw like one person say it might have been rough, but I haven't seen anything about that since. I'll look. I'll get it on PC if it's not good on Switch. Empire Sin, December 1st. Game still looks pretty cool. Yeah, probably one I will not get to, unfortunately.
I'm sure it would be a game that I'll end up playing in like 2020, late 2021, 2022, and be like, hey, remember Empire Sin? I started playing it because it's on Game Pass or some shit like that.
True. Sniper Elite 4 holiday, cool. And the final game.
Woo!
Out of nowhere, Ori and the Will of the Wisps Shadow dropped on the Switch and getting a nice looking collector's edition.
Very nice.
Not just for Switch, for the other ones too. I was interested, like, ooh, that looks nice. Then I saw the price, like, nah. It's $150.
I was not expecting this soon.
No.
I expected Ori and the Will of the Wisp to come to Switch, but I thought it would be sometime next year.
And here's the thing, like I've heard people talk about it runs apparently really good. It's like 60 frames, like the full 60 frames and all that. It still looks
what wizardry?
Yeah, exactly. That's it's insane. Like I'm hearing such good things about how it's running on Switch.
Play that damn game. Anyone listening to this who haven't played it, go play it.
Yep, a lot of you
it's being overlooked.
Crazy people's excuses is gone. It's on Switch and it apparently a really good port, so do it.
Yes.
I understand a game where Ori, like, you know, it not being 60 frames would be a detractor to it, but the fact that it apparently is in smooth 60 frames.
I'm interested. I kind of wanted to pop it into my PC and like do because like they on the Xbox Series X version they talk about 120 frames, which I don't know. I might have to wait until that. I don't know how that will work for like if I do it on Game Pass. Like, I wonder if it could get to 120 frames now, or do I have to wait for that update? Will that just be an update with Xbox? I don't know. If it comes then, I'd kind of be interested to jump in there 120 frames. I bet that game would look beautiful.
I was curious, like, when they started at Monster Hunter, it's like, what are they going to close with? Like, oh, Ori, cool.
What? I mean, this was a killer-ass direct. Mm-hmm. This could be a normal direct. This is a big one. No, it's one of those things, like, we got to the end, it's like, especially now that we've kind of seen everything, it's like, man, if you just combined, like, all the shit you've announced in the last couple months, you could have had a solid-ass direct. Yep. Yeah.
But they decided not to. The cowards.
Coward.
Okay, so moving on, Darby. How much do you actually want to discuss the Oculus Quest 2?
I say let's skip it. Oculus Quest 2 is announced. I think it's going to sell very well. Quest is the future of VR. PSVR is not. I want a Quest one day.
But I will say, I should have done my due diligence in reading more. I apologize. I have seen some, like, people have actually got their hands on it and reviewed it, like, the moment it was announced. Some people have a little, like, a lot of reviews are positive, but there are a couple that seem to be people bringing up very solid complaints. I haven't looked too much into it, and maybe not be stuff that would impact us, but I just want to throw that out there for people that are interested in this. It sounds like there might have been some concessions to get out to that $300 price point.
Don't buy $300 VR technology just by us talking about it for literally 10 seconds. Don't do that. Do your due diligence.
You know what? I'm going to add on to that. Don't do that for anything, regardless if you're not. If we die something for 10 seconds...
Don't listen to anything we say, ever.
Now, if it's 11 seconds, you know it's good.
That's there.
Okay, Derek. Other news. Okay, so I think we mentioned at the top of the podcast that we missed talking about the Ubisoft Forward. There are announcements and trailers and stuff. Most of it we did not really care about. Correct. But there is one thing that we were interested in seeing, and me and you were both very impressed by, and that is Immortal Phoenix Rising. It will come out on the Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, PC, Switch, and Stadia on December 3rd.
And I think we have to mention, if you're like, what the hell is Immortals Phoenix Rising? It's Gods and Monsters. But
so apparently also something, the name change is because they were potentially getting sued by Monster Energy Drink.
Which is number one, hilarious. And number two, makes me feel a lot better that they didn't decide to do this because they wanted to.
They might have been legally forced, or
because it's such a bad move to change from Gods and Monsters to Immortal Phoenix Rising that I'm glad that maybe their hand was forced.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think this game looks really cool.
Man, like, I really want this game.
The more I look at this game, I'm like, I actually like got some of the feeling you get when you're anticipating a game, like when you're like, man, I just really want to play this right now. Like, I kind of got that from this. Like, I looked at some more gameplay and I'm like, man, that would just go down smooth. Like, this just looks fun.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. The reception of it was, I don't know. I don't know if it's one way or the other necessarily. People should.
I've seen mostly positive.
Yeah.
They're
I guess the negative I saw was just people really upset that it looks like Breath of the Wild and just trying to nail it down.
Which, like, anyone, if you've heard that or you've written it off because it's like, oh, that's just the Breath of the Wild clone, it's really not.
I will say this game would not exist in its form without Breath of the Wild. Like, it's obviously influenced, but I guess for a little story time, when Ubisoft 4 was happening, I was at work. I was able to watch it, but I was looking at Twitter and stuff, and I saw a lot of, this is the Breath of the Wild clone. Some, people going positive or negative based on that. So when Darby and I both sat down for the footage, I told him that, and we were both watching and kind of like, okay, it's obviously influenced, but I don't see the clone part.
Yeah, it's like
there's a lot different here.
Yeah, you did kind of like set my expectations a certain way, but I was like, yeah, this is like way less like carbon copy than like y'all made it sound like it was. It was one of those like, I mean, do you know how many like Call of Duty clones there are and Halo clones there are out there? Like, Breath of the Wild is something that I want open world designers to take influence from. And like you said, it would absolutely, this game, like Breath of the Wild was the main inspiration. That is abundantly clear. But this game, it has, I was saying like when I was going into that trailer, it's like, okay, if it is like a Breath of the Wild clone type thing, it needs to have something that sets it apart, that is like gives you a different feeling that you don't get from Breath of the Wild. I think it absolutely has that in spades. Like when you look at the combat in here, you're like flipping around doing these different abilities that you get from like skill trees or whatever, and like chaining together combos, jumping over people's heads, doing stuff like that. Never do anything like that in Breath of the Wild. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it's like I was looking at the combat like in this, and I was like, this was completely like a new type of thing. And even the mobility in the world and everything also, I felt like separated it a lot. And I think this is going to be a lot less of a, like Breath of the Wild is kind of a lonely game in a good way, but it's like you're just like wandering around the world experimenting with like, I put these two things together, what happens? I think this looks a lot more like it has elements of that, but it looks like a lot more of a exploration action game. Like the combat is a lot more of a focus.
Yeah, something else we stand out is the fact that while Breath of the Wild had sections per se, it's not as it wasn't as overt as this one, where it's literally sectioned off between different gods, like god areas, and they're completely different.
It looks more drastically different.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild's map is supposed to kind of be more of a seamless world that goes where,
and you know, it makes sense. We're in the land of the gods, and the gods are like, "This is my land. I'm making it however the fuck I want."
Yeah,
and again, also story part will be a little different because Breath of the Wild is more subdued, where you're trying to find the past. This one seems more like open with the story when you have Zeus, and I always forget the Titan or whatever he's talking to. Yeah. Them kind of talking and being cheeky with each other, kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it looks straight up, and people who played the demo say like it's a comedy game. Yeah. Like it is a game that is going for fourth wall breaking. You know, it's like a very tongue-in-cheek type thing or whatever, which is obviously like way different than the very subdued, mysterious Breath of the Wild. And I think the puzzles look really interesting. Mm-hmm. The combat looks like, I'm getting pretty tired of a lot of like third-person open world action games like that or whatever. But like this one, like, same team as Assassin's Creed. This looks so much more interesting than Assassin's Creed's combat to me. Mm-hmm. It looks like there's a lot more going on with it. It looks like a smaller budget, but that's kind of in a good way. Yeah, I think they had more of a license to be creative with this game than they ever do with other Ubisoft games.
So I will say, like, I would love to get this on Switch, but I know it's obviously lower budget than other Ubisoft games, but I see Ubisoft game that's also all going to be on the PS5 and Switch. It's kind of like there are worries there for me.
I'm going to see what people say, because if people say the Switch port is good, I would like to play this game on the Switch. Like
I'm the same way.
I'm kind of bummed by how little I've used my Switch this year. I played Shantae, that's it. I kind of wanted another one. But,
play Hades.
Yeah. Hades is another one. If people say it's good, then I'll be like, hell yeah, absolutely Switch.
Yep. So, Darby and I are both on the Immortals train.
Got the nerds at large stamp of approval.
Sorry, I think this is the first time we were both simultaneously excited for a Ubisoft game.
That's true. I mean, there's not many of them that either of us are excited for. But,
okay. I had this kind of old news, but it's a game we've been very looking forward to. Kena Bridge of Spirits has been delayed into next year. Q1 next year, I believe.
This is very good for me and you. Take as much time as you need, but like I wasn't going to be able to play it at launch, even though I'm super duper excited for this game. Mm-hmm. But obviously.
Hey, that clears up a space for me.
Yeah,
I already got so many fucking games that I want to play. Yeah. And also, Ghost Runner is coming out October 27th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Okay, I'm very looking forward to.
That's slightly before the Onslaught, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, and on Green Man Gaming, I believe It's $20 for pre-ordering on PC. So I'm like, I probably will just go ahead and grab that.
Very nice.
And mess around with it some.
Very nice.
I don't expect it to be a long game, and this is one I'll mess around every now. It's kind of like with Katana Zero. Like, I don't expect it to be a long game, but once I finish it, it'll be one where I go back and try to do speedrunning stuff.
Yeah.
Mess around
Oh,
with that.
yeah. Very much built for that.
Yeah. But so I'm excited for it.
That game is very cool.
Yep. And finally, it's that time of the month again, Darby. NPDs. Impetus. Okay. Normal. We'll go through top 20-ish games, where it's interesting, gave it little details, top 10 games for the year, and any other interesting tidbits. Let's get started. Number 1, to surprise of probably no one who remembers that it came out this month.
Fast and Furious cross race.
Exactly. Madden NFL 21. Let's see. Okay. Reading, and this also comes from Matt Miscatella from NPD. Follow his Twitter. Good follow. Okay, so yeah, Madden NFL was number 1 with double-digit percentage dollar sales growth when compared to the release month of Madden NFL 20. Yeah. This is the 21st consecutive year that a Madden NFL franchise release has the best-selling game in its release month. Madden NFL is the best-selling sports and third best-selling overall video game franchise in U.S. history.
Damn. Yeah. Once and for all, proving that nothing we do matters. No. Gaming media is irrelevant. Things will sell and perform how they will, regardless what we think about them, because this game was panned and complained about, mocked all over Twitter and all over gaming media, and it doesn't matter. It's
nothing matters. Now, Darby, you probably know what it is, but the number 2, Wait, do you remember what number 2 is?
I remember it was kind of weird. Oh, it was fucking UFC or some shit.
UFC 4 was the second best-selling game of the month, setting a new franchise launch month sales record for Electronic Arts published UFC title.
So is do you think, is this just COVID, how in the same way COVID was boosting hardware and Animal Crossing and other sales like that, do you think just sports game sales are just getting boosted too because everyone's just buying? I
think so. I think that definitely helps, and I think what may help this game in particular is, I don't know, I guess I don't know how the other UFC ones sell. I feel I don't feel like we've ever talked about UFC games.
I don't think it shows up. I don't remember ever seeing it on the NPDs.
So I do think what might help it a little bit to get the number 2 slide, because we don't know exact numbers of how these things compare, is it is one of 3 new games on this top 20 list. That, Madden, and PGA Tour 2K21, which is number 14. Spoilers alert.
Okay.
Number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Number 4, Ghost of Tsushima. Not a bad follow-up.
No.
Second month.
Not bad at all. Yeah.
Number 5, Animal Crossing New Horizons. No digital. Something important to keep in mind. Number 6, Ring Fit Adventure. Keeping strong.
Yep.
Let's see. Number 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 9, Paper Mario the Origami King. Let's go. Not bad.
That's pretty good, actually, yeah.
Number 10, Mortal Kombat 11. I'm just going to kind of continue on because we might notice a trend. 11, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 12, Last of Us Part 2.
That I'm surprised. I'm really surprised about that drop there. That's a pretty big drop.
Yeah. I saw something very clickbaity server threads, something about 3-year-old Zelda is sold more than Last of Us Part 2. Should he concerned, was Last of Us Part 2 a fun? No, get out of here. That shit. I think a big part of it is, at least part of it is, Last of Us Part 2 is one of those games where people bought immediately.
Yes, yeah.
And it's a drop is expected. In the second month, it was where Ghost of Tsushima was at number 4.
I was about to say, what it sold out the gate, I think, was pretty bonkers.
Yeah. And that's how games normally sell. Nintendo games are just anomalies.
Yeah.
But for the most part. Yeah, you Call of Duties and... Oh, yeah. I want you might know this, but let's get through this and see if you notice the game missing. Number 13, Minecraft. PlayStation 4 edition specifically. Like, I'm curious what this would be if it included all. Like, Minecraft would probably be the top
Number
5
one
every
time.
Yeah. Number 14, PGA Tour. Number 15, New Super Mario Bros. Used Deluxe. I don't know why that game sells. Number 16, Super Mario Party. 17, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. 18, Super Mario Odyssey, baby.
Super Mario.
Number 19, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay.
Getting back in there.
Yeah.
It returned to the chart because there was a sale on the PlayStation Store. Or it may not necessarily, well, partly
And I
because.
told Will to buy it, but he never responded, so he probably didn't because he's a coward.
Oh, yeah. I just realized he does the last month rankings, even if they weren't on the top 20 chart. Final Fantasy VII was 41 last month.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Pretty big.
I like that addition, Matt. And number 20, also jumping back in, Luigi's Mansion 3. Let's go, baby. Great game. So a couple things. Half these games, I think, are Nintendo published titles. So great month for the Switch, we'll get to later. Did you notice the game missing? Or do you know what game's missing?
Might not. Just go ahead.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, shit. Was this the first time?
So apparently 2K maybe stopped doing digital numbers or being more cagey with that. I think I saw.
Damn. We won't know how long the streak actually went anymore.
Yep. The dream is dead.
The dream is dead.
Top 10 games for this year so far. Nothing.
Yeah, let's just read these straight through and then.
Call of Duty, Animal Crossing, Last of Us, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Madden, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, MLB The Show, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mortal Kombat 11. Okay, so I noticed something here. At 6 and 7, right under Madden, 2 games were dropped down. But 8 and Mortal Kombat stayed in the same place. So something dropped from 8 just off the top 10. I can't remember what it was. Was Resident Evil on? No, Resident Evil wasn't. No. Resident Evil dropped off faster.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to spend that time. So yeah.
It might have been one of the Nintendo Mario Karts or one of the, or that was on there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Mario Kart is eternal. Hardware shit. Nintendo Switch set a new U.S. August hardware dollar sales record, Darby. Besting the August 2008 dollar sales on the Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Switch unit volume more than doubled when compared to a year ago. Double. Switch was the best-selling hardware platform. Yeah, for the month, of course.
So it's like, again, Nintendo basically took the year half off, and it doesn't matter. That thing gonna keep on selling.
They're gonna keep on selling, baby.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe that it will stop now because the Switch has gone through trials and tribulations now because like Nintendo ran out of games to put on it, but it's still selling.
Man, I remember like a year ago, people were wondering when seriously wondering when the price drop was gonna happen for this thing.
No time soon.
No time soon, baby. There is gonna be an interesting thing though to see how the new the new console launching might affect it.
Yeah.
Especially since Xbox is going to have a SKU that's going to match the price of the Switch.
That is true. And Switch Pro, we don't have time. I'm sorry I said it. I'm sorry I said the words. I'm sorry.
Hey, wouldn't Monster Hunter be a good showpiece
for us? We don't have time. Thank you guys so much for watching the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. Thank you, Jeff, for joining me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I make a long drive here.
Yeah, he does. Like, he really puts in the effort. Yeah. Make sure you go follow us on twitch.tv/nerdsgaming so you can see. I guess we're running out of summer game mess things. We're running out of big shows, but there'll be game awards and maybe some other stuff.
Yeah, I guess we can may nail it down here. You're going to be gone next weekend, right?
Yes.
So, potentially late podcast where we just talk about TGS stuff. Mm-hmm. You cool with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. And also, not ready to announce what we're doing on it, but we are going to be doing a Halloween stream with a bunch of our internet friends, and it's probably going to be an all-day affair where some of us are wearing costumes. It's going to be a real good time. I'm so excited for it. Whenever we nail down what we're playing, we'll put out a schedule. It's gonna be a good time. Twitch.tv/_gaming. Thank you guys so much. Bye.